the lab. He's also mature and has achieved many of his goals. And I believe that Virginia needs that. She needs someone who's going to be stable, who's going to be supportive, who's never going to lead.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book. You know what time it is. We're talking to you guys today about Erik and dealing with Virginia. There's a lot of things we need to break down in this particular episode and what happened between the two of them. So guys, if you are new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe, click on that bell button for notifications of the uploads. And for those of you who are returning as well, you got the minerals, you got the minerals, you got the minerals. All right, cool. Let's get into the video. Let's talk about some real things. So we had Erik 34 and Virginia 27, and I think that age gap is going to speak for itself straight away because of where Virginia's mindset is at. Okay, let's jump straight into it. Let's not play. What we saw from Virginia, I think many of you probably will have the same kind of mindset, which is that Virginia is a very hearty, lovey. She's energetic. She wants to play. She wants to be free. I just want to be free. You know what I'm saying? She wants to be out here, having fun.
I'm a lot to handle. I tend to meet people at bars, get a little drunk, have some fun, and then I kind of give them the boot before I gave them that proper chance for whatever reason.
Right, and there's nothing wrong with that at all, because at the end of the day, she's still 27, she's still full of life and still full of vim, and she said that she wants to explore and do things. Cool. Here's my thing. My first point is, let's talk about lifestyle balance, because Erik 34, the reason why his past marriage failed was because a work-life balance didn't suit the woman that he was with. Now that can be an error on both parties. That can be an error from him not asking about her, will she be okay? And that's also an error from the woman too, because if she knew what his lifestyle was as well going into this, problematic. And if she didn't ask before she went into marriage, that's problematic. If he didn't say to her what her lifestyle will be like, also too problematic. Okay.
Major airline. The most difficult thing is just the travel and not being there. Some people have been okay with it for a certain period of time, then all of a sudden they just get tired of it. Others, just right off the bat, I can't.
Okay. So here, the work lifestyle balance is key, because his work, the flying, will take him away. Now, he's no longer serving, but he's still doing the piloting, right? And so the piloting is going to take him away, I'm guessing, for a few days or a few weeks, however long he has to do it for at a go and a time. And on his own, it's not a problem if he's got somebody who's secure in himself. But we've got Virginia. And Virginia, okay, is not secure in herself. So although she's outgoing, wanting to enjoy herself, go out there, be fun, she's actually not that outgoing. Right? Because actually, not outgoing, she's actually not that secure, because as she mentioned herself, the process of a divorce of her parents caused her to have insecurity to the point where she wants to control the narrative. And
it has to do with my parents. My mom was married before my dad, and then was married to my dad, and then now my stepdad. And then with my dad, my mom was his first wife, and then he had a marriage and a divorce, and then has now been with...
We'll talk about that a bit more later on, but I want you to be aware of that as I weave this into the conversation. So his failure at the previous relationship can't happen here. He must communicate to her to let her know what her lifestyle will be like immediately from the drop. And then they got to make some, I'm guessing, some concessions, because what's going to happen is he's not going to be at home for a few days or a few weeks. She will have to do things by herself, which she's fine with. She loves the independence. She loves to go out, be with friends, and have a life, etc. So that part of her will be brilliant. It will enjoy. But the problem is what she said. She self-sabotages. So what happens when you feel like he's away, and the self-sabotaging can lead into extreme paranoia, okay, and he's away, and now suddenly you're accusing him of stuff.
People at bars, get a little drunk, have some fun, and then I kind of give them the boot before I gave them that proper chance for whatever reason. I never want to have that fear in the back of my head that they're...
Because this can happen because of the self-sabotaging. Part of it is paranoia, right? So that work-life balance may be contributing towards a downfall or a future argument, within the relationship, yeah? But the beautiful thing is that obviously now he's finished all his military service and all that kind of stuff. He can fully focus on the relationship with Virginia. I just hope when he fully focuses on her that his focus does not become her. Let me say that again for you. I hope that when he has his focus more on the relationship, it does not become her. What you don't want to do, okay, in this particular case with Virginia, a girl like Virginia, is to smother. Now, remember, his mother said,
It's more to marriage than just saying, I love you. There's a lot that you need to just learn about life.
His mother said, you know, I'm just a little concerned for him that look, you know, love, marriage is more than just this love feeling that you want to feel, right? Love is more than this emotion and this feeling. Love is the action. It's in a process of actions, okay, of doing, okay? It's not this lovey-dovey feeling. So if you're looking for that lovey-dovey feeling, okay, sir, you are not going to get it for the entire time of your marriage. I think that's what the mom was trying to explain to him. Like, don't be in love with the idea of love, but understand what love is and be practical about what love is, okay, so that you don't feel so that you're not empty when it doesn't manifest the way that you thought it should manifest due to an ideology, okay? So, you know, Virginia already said obviously she's not happy sitting at home, which is fine, because again, if he's away from home, she can go out and do things, etc., etc. But will she long for him? You know, when he will she long for him, or even his quest, or I should say his desire for love, will it smother her? Will it make her feel like she's doing too much? Now I know he's also a joker, practical joker. He's willing to, you know, be free and enjoy himself. So that side of things, they're gonna really mesh well. I mean, they're gonna enjoy themselves. They're really gonna enjoy themselves.
Back in my head that they're gonna leave, and I'm not gonna give people the chance to kind of almost have that control over me if I think it's at all a possibility. I think a lot of it has to do with...
But it could be that the self-sabotaging, when the person feels like you're being stretched away from them, because we're talking about anxious, again, this is another anxious attachment style. When the person fears intimacy, when the person craves intimacy but fears rejection. So in order to get that intimacy, they must get over the hump of rejection. But when they don't want to get over the hump of rejection, then the intimacy suffers, right? So when he's coming back wanting that affection or that intimacy, will she struggle to give it to him? Will the loneliness cause her to go out partying even more? Because one of the things about self-sabotaging is that, look, she said herself, like, in the past, other guys, when they come, etc., etc., she doesn't allow them to get too close. As soon as they get close, she wants to nuke them. She gets rid of them. Right? If she senses that you're going to reject her first, she gets rid of them. What happens when he rejects something or says, no, I'm not going to do this particular thing, or no, we're not going this way, or not doing that? What happens to that girl? Does she rebel? And how does she rebel? Does she ignore the problems? Because some of the things that we're talking about here when we're dealing with sabotage as well is that when we're talking about some of the things that actually happen, the person can avoid emotions, they can avoid having certain conversations that are too emotional. Do you know what I'm saying? They can hold grudges. They'll start presenting unrealistic expectations. Start being very heavy on the critique. You know, silent treatment. These things can quickly play into a relationship in the way. And remember, she says the key word that she said here was that, you know, I never give people that chance to have control over me. I want you to just deep that for a second.
Back in my head that they're gonna leave, and I'm not gonna give people the chance to kind of almost have that control over me if I think it's at all a possibility. I think a lot of it has to do with...
She says, I never give people that chance to have that control over me. Do you know what that means? That means now they're in marriage, maybe what will happen is, now we're married, there's no exit door. The opposite end, when your back's against the wall, when my back's against the wall, and it looks like it's all over. Sorry. And it looks like it's all over. When your back's against the wall, right? And you know that, okay, I can't just exit this process. I can't just exit marriage. I can't just leave. What's the next thing you do? You attack. And the attack becomes, how do I control the narrative? And that's why I mentioned about the extra critiquing, the silent treatment, all these things to gain control in the relationship. If she feels like she's not in control, you know what I'm saying? But again, I'm talking about things that could potentially trigger the person too. Because if they feel safe enough, this should be cool. But then when you disagree, because this is where the problems come from. It's not when the person can feel loved by you, cared for you. But if this hasn't been sorted in you, when there are issues like disagreements, then that triggers the feeling of the anxious feeling and attachment style to make you want to go into, I'm going to control. That's why she mentioned when the guys get a little bit too close and then she feels a certain way, then she begins to lock it off.
I'm just traditional.
And I'm talking about trigger points right now. He's got a very strong traditional family, which is good. I don't know if she fits into the strong traditional family, but, you know, because she's quite a party animal, I hope she has the intelligence, you know, and the emotional intelligence and the craft to be able to mold herself that in certain settings, she know how to behave, right? And that she's not always party all the time. I hope she's not like that. I hope she's got that in her. But because we haven't seen enough of her, we can't say anything that if that is true or not. But I hope that she has, right? Because the traditional mindset don't do that whole women are drunk thing. Yeah, so that whole, when she was at the hen night and she was getting drunk and had to be vomiting and she loves a party, this and that. Look, if they have a Christmas dinner and you behave like that might not go down too well. And then the rejection from the family or the disapproval from the family can cause you to trigger. And what can happen is when the person is triggered, they won't necessarily go after your family. They will displace their feelings of anger or frustration or hurt or fear towards you, Erik, right? Because she knows that potentially she can't show that feelings to the parents, so she'll displace that feeling to you. Then arguments begin to ensue when you don't know why they're ensuing. And the reason why is because the person may feel triggered, but again, because they're displacing how they truly feel and they're refusing to go into their emotions of feeling about certain topics, you won't know. You understand? So I'm just trying to get, if she's not centered, if she hasn't done the work to really get to herself and understand herself, then these things can become an issue. Because, and one thing I really felt sad for was the way her dad kind of, you know, dealt with her. Because, you know, this girl has been affected by her parents' divorce, right? She said it outright, and I love the fact that she was aware that she was affected by the parents' divorce. Okay, and that's why I said about the fear of abandonment and the rejection and the anxious attachment style. Because when you feel like you're being rejected, this scene where she's talking to her dad, telling her dad, look, you know, I got accepted. The dad should have been like, you know what? I don't necessarily agree, yeah? But, you know, I'm here to support you. You know what I mean? See, and see, parents think sometimes, yeah, that, you know what? By giving a disapproval, you're going to change. These kids ain't going to change. You know what I mean? Like, if you know, I can voice my disapproval for what you're doing and still show you love. And what I felt was when they were having a conversation, I could see her dejection. I could see the little girl being crushed all over again. Daddy don't want to come.
Just asking. So it's in Atlanta? Mm-hmm. If nothing else, I get to see it on TV, right?
Yeah. And that is showing, basically saying I can watch from the TV, right? So you want to watch your daughter get wedded from the TV. So which is going to happen months after. Do you know what I mean? Like, deep what that's going to do to the psyche of the child. So when she said, obviously, me and my dad clash a lot, the reason why they probably clash a lot is because she feels like my dad don't care about me enough. So I bet you a lot of the arguments are actually centered in the emotions of my dad don't care enough. Because when divorces happen, children feel like they are the sole reason why divorces happen. They can feel like they're alienated. They can feel like they're not special anymore. They can feel like they're being pulled in both directions. They have to be the person who chooses between mom and dad. You know, there's a lot of things that can happen to a child in a divorce, right? And that feeling of abandonment and not feeling special is a big thing, and feeling rejected. And so then for your dad to say the way he delivered the information about how he's not supporting, and the fact that he's going to watch it from the TV, was very dismissive of his daughter's plight at the moment. Now, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I get it. I understand that we all come from different backgrounds, but I'm just trying to give you an understanding that could set her off. So when she took the phone and was walking out the room, I could, you know what? She could no longer sit there. It was too painful to. it was way too painful for her to sit down there and do a shot with us. I can understand, you know what I mean? So that's a very key thing to point out as well. So hopefully what can happen is she gets love and acceptance from his family, from Erik's family, and that will make up for what she's experiencing sometimes with her dad. You know what I mean? So when she goes into Erik's family, that love and acceptance can make her feel welcomed, and that can kind of soften the blow. You know, that can soften a lot of the issues that you face within your own family. And actually what you can do is end up adopting your husband's family as your own, in a sense, right? Because two are becoming one, you know, two whole beings, please, not half. Two whole beings are becoming one. And another point is that obviously as well, that, you know, because obviously Erik himself has been divorced, you know, that should make him wiser. That should make him wiser. That should also give him a different perspective. But what he's going to have to do as an older gentleman is kind of give Virginia a little bit of space to kind of grow. Because it's 7 years, you know, and that's not the biggest gap. Jacob and Haley are the biggest gap. But you're going to have to give Virginia a little bit of time to grow. Whether he's going to be okay with that, I don't know. Because another thing is that he can also be triggered. You know, if you start seeing patterns that are similar to your ex-partner, whoa, you could be triggered differently, bro. You understand? But, you know, he's going to have to take some patience and execute it in this relationship for her to give her space to grow. How does that look? I can't tell you. That's only dependent on them. Let's hope the experts are going to give them, you know, that undue attention and those tools to be able to make it through. And also as well, you know, I think the reason why they went for someone a little bit older, Erik, is the stability. It's also as well with the fact that, you know, part of it is that when like the way her relationship with dad is, that can also be kind of what you look for in a partner. You can look for certain qualities that are daddy like, you know, that you want that care and affection kind of thing, right? It can also work the other way as well. But I mean, I think that's probably why they kind of went for a little bit of an older gentleman by 7 years, kind of give her that kind of stability, that, you know, that almost that father figure kind of energy as well, just to keep her centered and to keep her, you know, I wouldn't say in line, but I would say like to keep her from, you know, moving a bit more reckless, you understand? Yeah.
A little drunk, have some fun, and then I kind of give them the boot before I gave them that proper chance for whatever reason. I never want to have that fear in the back of my head that they're gonna leave, and I'm not gonna give people the chance to kind of.
I want to talk a bit more about the self-sabotaging. Okay, so you know, why do people self-sabotage in relationships? And the reason why people self-sabotage in relationships is, like I said, when they're starved of emotional care, when they feel like they are the cause of detrimental events that are traumatic. Then what you hear, the rhetoric that you hear out of their mouth is, you know, don't come near me, don't love me, because it's me that causes everything bad to happen, or whenever I touch something it crumbles or it fails, or etc. And that victim mentality, right? And so that becomes a self-sabotage. And what happens is, before anyone can get close, they try to nuke the relationship, because they feel like if anybody gets close, they will see that person for who they really are, and that person who they really are is somebody who can't be loved, who can't be cherished, who can't be treasured. Do you know what I'm saying? So they try to exit people before it gets to that point, simply because of emotional starvation of care from when they were young.
Me and my dad have had an interesting relationship. We butt heads a lot, and he's definitely expressed concern just in the whole idea and in the process. I get where he's coming from.
You know, having as well in having a relationship as well with her father, in a way that she ended up becoming a very independent child in that relationship, where, you know, divorce kind of does that to the children, where it's like they learn to do a lot of things by themselves after a while, because, you know, you might enter into a fold where your parent is now a single parent. You learn to pick up things much more quicker. You have to learn how to do things. But one thing I think that she's actually running for, and this is part of her self-sabotage, is running from dealing with those emotions and how she really feels about her parents splitting up. Now, she mentioned a little bit about it, but when you begin to unpack it and you get deep with it, you know, some people say, I don't want to go to therapy because I don't want to unpack what I know is deep down, because I'm not ready for it. And so I think the excessive partying, or that need to want to party, be energetic, part of it is a cover up. Not saying that she's not energetic, not saying that she's not happy, not saying that she's not ecstatic, not saying she's not exciting, but part of it, I think, is a cover up for what true emotions she feels and have not been dealt with. It keeps it at bay, right? You know, with the self-sabotaging, you know, we see we see that obviously this could be a big part in their relationship. It's going to be interesting how we're going to manage that on the actual relationship of the show. I think, you know, the key thing here is obviously one is understanding each other's attachment styles within the relationship to kind of help know how best to navigate the situation. You're going to have honest conversation, and this is where counseling potentially may have to come into play as well, because if she hasn't done the work, if she hasn't gone away and really sussed it out and said, hey, do you know what? My behavior here, I got to make sure, you know, that my behavior here is correct. I got to make sure that there's certain things about me which are they're not right. You know, this could become an issue in a relationship. But again, this is me speculating due to what I've seen on the actual show. So, guys, if you're new to the channel, make sure you like, share, subscribe. You make sure you click on that bell button for notification of the uploads. Let us know, what do you guys think about Erik and also dealing with Virginia? Appreciate you guys. Stay locked and stay loaded. We'll see you soon.